I prefer the term flexible dieting
Okay.
over if it fits your macros. Although, I mean, I have no problem with if it fits your macros. I mean, I've been doing meal plans by the numbers since I was a teenager. I mean, I was introduced to this idea when I was in college. I took a nutrition class, and the professor had us do an analysis of our diet, and it was done on a piece of software, and meal by meal, it calculated the calories, protein, carbs, and fats. It was like on a spreadsheet. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
well, that makes perfect sense. And that was, the precursor to me learning and teaching meal planning. And then I went to work for Gold's Gym for a while, and back in the 90s, they had this program called Nutrition Analysis. I think it changed to Apex.
Okay.
It was a nutrition coaching service. This is like, we're going back 20 years now.
Yeah.
And they would sit down in person with a client in front of a computer, and basically what they had was a nutrition software pre-internet. So I mean, this was not connected
Right.
the web. There was no web. You just sit in front of a computer, and the nutrition technician would guide the client to create a meal plan, and it was by macros. It was proteins, carbs, fats, and they were talking about the percentages of each. So you walked out of the office with a meal plan on paper, by the calories, by the macros, and it's a pretty simple concept. You don't wing it anymore. You just eat what's on that piece of paper. You just follow that plan. And then you're taught a system for exchanging foods. So each food had an exchange number attached to it. Like, let's say protein was exchange group 1, and a fibrous carb is exchange group 2, and a starchy carb is exchange group 3, and then you have a list of foods to swap. So you have this meal plan you follow, and you swap foods out. So this was doing it by the macros decades ago. It's not a new concept. The thing that happened with if it fits your macros was there's a word that's presumed in that sentence. If it fits your macros, then eat whatever the heck you want. Okay.
Right.
Some people presume that, and some people don't make that assumption. But that's where it goes wrong, is when it starts to ignore food quality. So the interesting thing about doing it by the macros is if you're in a caloric deficit and you're hitting your macros, you can lose fat on a junk food diet.
Sure.
And that's a concept that a lot of people who are health foodies, they can't wrap their head around that idea. It does not make sense. It's like, if I eat a candy bar, I'm going to get fat. Mm-hmm. Well, no, because we know people who've competed and ate a slice of pizza every day and got shredded. Or, a figure athlete who she had a candy bar every single day. There was a case study of that exactly, and she got shredded. So it's not that foods turn into fat, it's excess calories turn into fat. I mean, that's the thing that we want to realize with if it fits your macros. I just prefer the concept of flexible dieting, which is flexible dieting versus rigid dieting. If you're too rigid, it becomes hard to stick to it. That's basically the bottom line. The more restrictions you have, the more rules you make, the more you become a rule breaker, basically is what it boils down to. So you have to build in a little bit of flexibility. And I think a smart way to do it is a 10% rule.
Yeah.
In terms of food quality, we're talking about food quality here. So if 90% of the food you eat is mostly unprocessed, nutrient-dense food, the other 10% that you eat, whatever it is, have at it. I mean, that's my interpretation of what if it fits your macros should be, or what flexible dieting should be.